With the 20th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Jaxson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver, Ohio State.
All right.
My goodness, they go with the top wide receiver in this year's draft by everybody's estimation, and it's exciting. It's exciting to think of the possibilities. It doesn't address their most pressing needs, but this is them sticking to the philosophy. We're going with the best player available that they've got on their board, and that would be Jaxson Smith-Njigba out of Ohio State.
I just think it's funny because, you know, you look at the interior D-line, pass rush, offensive guard. What do we need? And they go with corner and wide receiver.
Yeah, because they get the number one. The number one of number ones.
At both spots.
And, yeah, there will be no cynic in Seattle. There will be no cynic in that media room when John and Pete eventually come out tonight that says, oh, yeah, you tell us every year you got the one. No, we got the guy we wanted.
Yeah.
And you know what? Buffalo came calling, and these other teams came calling. And I'm sure they fielded a ton of calls, much like they did at 5. And ultimately, they looked around that room, they did their business like they did a year ago and said, we are taking the best player available.
Boy, I can't remember how many mock drafts where he was at 20.
There were a lot of them. There were a lot of them.
That hardly ever happens.
Yeah, like the early ones had him there.
But yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And yeah, that's going back like a couple months.
Yeah,
but
and then it became Miles Murphy. It became some of the defensive players that they thought would
if he didn't have a hamstring this year, he is a top 10 pick, end of story. He had a hamstring this year that bothered him. He tried to come back from. He eventually just had to fold the season, unfortunately. The year before, he shattered the school records at The Ohio State University for receptions and yards. Once again, Dave, I'll come back to what I always do. I want production. He caught 17 passes in a game twice. His route running on the inside, you just can't cover him. He is he's not as big as Cooper Kupp. Cooper's 6'3". This kid's about 6'1". But on the inside, he will run option routes on anybody. He's got a tremendous feel. And you give Geno Smith, wherever Geno is tonight, Geno, wherever you are, I know you're doing this right now. Like, yes, yes.
You know what's kind of interesting about him? He's got kind of a weird gait. It's a little bit unusual, and if you
His head
watch
kind of bobs
him,
around.
yeah, and I feel like that. You know, if you're unconventional, like that is to your advantage.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just kind of some different movement there. But yeah, and I was joking about the whole D-line offensive line thing because that people are going to have a hard time with it because they're going to go, what do they need? Well, what did they get? You don't need a corner, you don't need a wide receiver, but I think from looking at this and listening to John over the last 10 weeks that they got the guys they wanted, exactly the guys that they wanted. They're the best football players that they could get with that pick.